Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this extremely late live show episode of Walking 90. Um, because Ebony decided to have a meeting that took clearly over the allotted time, and we are starting late. My wife is eye rolling at me, so that probably means I have to sleep on the couch tonight. Thanks a lot, Ebony. Thanks a lot.
Look, I'm just here for the vibes and CPT.
Yeah, you're clearly we can see that clearly. Um, But before we get started, I just want to start with this. Um, it hasn't even been a week, and we are already dealing with another mass shooting here in America. This is the 288th mass shooting having to deal with dealing with schools. And schools are supposed to be this safe space for our students to go to, for our young people to go to learn the difficult stories about life. And it's sad to know that nine sets of parents sent their child off to school and didn't get their child to come back into their arms. And, you know, two husbands lost their wives. And unfortunately, the news came out today. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but one of the husbands died of a broken heart, literally had a heart attack when he received the news. And it's just devastating and it hurts a lot. And being a teacher in the classroom, you never think that that's going to be the space. But we have politicians and leaders who decide to put lobbyists and party lines ahead of what's right. And I'm not talking about yes, I am talking about it. We have to do better about gun safety. We have to do better about mental health. They're trying to make it one or the other. If we get mental health, we can't have gun safety. If we get gun safety, you can't have mental health. It could be the same. It could be all done in the same package. It literally can be done. The same way how these same Republicans want anti-immigration laws and they want anti-abortion. If they can have that, we can have gun safety and we can have mental health. We can all be taken care of in the same space. And we have to do a better job of protecting the young in this country. No child should have to go to school and worry about getting gunned down by AR-15. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, and it hurts. And me and my wife were talking about it. We were dealing with a rate of emotions, and I'm just, you go from being numb to being pissed to feeling lonely to feeling like, well, what's going to change? And something got to change, man. It has to change, and it's incumbent upon us to not only vote but make sure we're voting for the right people that's going to enact change, but then also ensuring that those around us are doing the right thing as well and being helpful and being mindful of those around us. So that's my quick thoughts on it, guys. Do you have anything you want to add? I just wanted to open up with that before we get started.
No, I mean, as a teacher, the floor is kind of yours, man. So, um, there's nothing I don't disagree with in any of your statements. So I appreciate you coming through with your thoughts and your perspective, especially coming from the education side of it.
Yeah. But, with that being said, with politicians not saying what they need to say, we smoking on that MLS Pack tonight, boys. Chip! The flow is short, my guy.
I will say the tweet that inspired this smoking joke, I posted on the USL Discord as a joke, the whole I always smoke after sex thing, because I thought it was a little racy. But everyone on there was like, you got to post that. You got to post that. So I did. And I don't regret it. That game was crazy. Like, first of all, thanks to everyone from Minnesota United. You guys were great. We went to the Blackheart. Everyone there was super awesome. Gary came down. The president of USL Women's League and USL Super League came down as well, which was super cool. Which I did feel like a dipshit because I was like, "Ooh, we're getting a women's team," and then it's like, "No, she's in town for the other game." But she was down in the pits with us, screaming and yelling the whole time. Gary was there screaming and yelling the whole time, and it was great, seeing former players. Tyler David made an appearance and everything else. And kind of the comment I kept saying to people last night after the win was, it was really fun watching us win in Chicago and getting to experience that. But this game was even better because it's not just me and my buddy Rich who went up that got to experience it. Tons of people did. I think there's over 70 tickets sold in our section. And then there's a ton of Volt like sprinkled around the stadium, including a guy in the Wonderwall, which I don't know if he was lost or what was going on there. But no, I mean, it's great seeing all the press coming in from everywhere about it. I haven't watched yet because we were waiting on Ebony and I was in the car still. But apparently on Soccer America, they talk about Union Omaha like incessantly. And, you know, it's really great to see everybody else kind of get to experience what makes Omaha so special and what I've enjoyed over the past 3 years with this club and kind of seeing that success. And I was talking to Yogi in the pregame show. It's crazy the amount of success that Omaha has had in the past 3 years. And it's just been a fun ride. And I'm just so excited to be a very small part of it and, you know, share my thoughts with all of you here. And, you know, it was a fun ride home. You know, I spent a lot of the time on the phone with one of my buddies who owns some bars, and, you know, we're already planning on some buses. So if you're an Omaha fan and you want to get in on the pre-sale for that, we should have some stuff soon. Just hit me up in the DMs and we can make sure that you get a bus. And I just can't wait to see, you know, 300, 400, 500 Omaha fans in Kansas City wearing black and Volt, cheering on the Owls and watching us go to the semifinals, which would be absolutely crazy, because if we knock off SKC, all of a sudden we're back in the driver's seat for hosting. Which, can you imagine a US Open Cup semifinal at Werner Park? Like that would be crazy. I think it'd be like one of the first time a lower league teams hosted in our city. And, you know, the amount of support that I got last night from everyone was crazy. By the time we walked out of the stadium and got to the bar we were doing post-game drinks at, I had over 70 missed text messages. I had dozens of DMs on Twitter. I had missed phone calls. I had, you know, people sending me videos of us in the stands and of them celebrating the goals and everything else. And it was a really special moment. And even friends of mine that, you know, really aren't big Union Omaha folks were watching the game. And, you know, hopefully with the 2 big wins we've had over MLS teams now, that helps kind of be a watershed moment for Union Omaha in our market, and hopefully more people come out. And more importantly, I think it could be a moment for everybody else in League One, because, you know, with kind of the idea of a high tide raises all boats. And, you know, if I'm a fan in Richmond or Raleigh or Greenville who maybe says, well, you know, League One's kind of a joke. You know, why would I watch those guys? Like they're amateur fans or amateur players or whatever. It's like, no, like we can knock off MLS teams, and you should go support your local club. And, you know, it's been great. I will say it was hilarious though. I went on a Twitter Spaces today, and it was a bunch of Minnesota fans complaining about how it was the worst loss in team history, and they were just like on like death's door about it, which was hilarious because we did that. Yeah, I know it was great. And I'm excited for the SKC game, but, you know, more importantly, I hope we get some stuff done when we actually play league games this weekend. So it'll be great to be back at Werner Park and see some of the people we haven't seen in a while, and hopefully a bunch of new friends come in as well.
All right, hold on. Switching it back.
I was like, I'm done. I keep going. I can keep going.
There you go.
If I'm Chip, I'm like, fuck you, fuck this. We just suck my.
You know, that's why we don't give you the solo cam.
Well, not anymore.
It was hilarious. My buddy Liam Keating got a video, or posted a video, or found a video somehow of the second Union Omaha goal, and I'm just sitting right next to Gary Green, just going like towards the Minnesota players who were like stumbling by, and I was like, man, it was crazy. Like the emotion in that section was great. I mean, and like I said, it was awesome getting to experience that with a bunch of other Union Omaha fans and former players and everything else, and it was great. And hopefully we get to experience it again in SKC.
Yep. That will be the cool feeling. But guys, we got a lot to talk about. I haven't been on this show in a month. There's a lot that's happened. Yeah. I haven't been in the show in a month. It feels a little weird. Outside of me being in Mexico getting drunk off caipirinhas and getting a little bit of sunburn, which I didn't know black people could get.
Oh yeah, it hurts, man.
Well, see, I didn't hurt that badly. Mine was just more like peeling, but maybe I'm just ashy as shit. So who knows? But yeah, we got a lot to talk about, y'all. I think where we last left off, we didn't miss that much. Really, 3 games only really to talk about. South Georgia gets punched in the mouth by Fuego. We got North Carolina FC getting a home win. Yeah, a home win. We got to talk about that. And then we got Fort Madison fumbling the bag against Charlotte Independence. Is Charlotte Independence for real, or is Ford not there? Are they going backwards? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But guys, let's start off with this South Georgia Tormenta game. 4-0 to Fuego.
Yo,
this is the game that Chip, when me and you did the Twitter Spaces. Which, by the way, when we don't do live, we go on Twitter. We talk on Twitter. We want to hear from you guys. We're trying to build this USL League One community. In order to do that, we need you guys to interact with us.
Mm-hmm. It's your opportunity to share your trash ass takes with us, David Varna.
Right. You never know who's going to pop up on the live. Like, we had South Georgia Tormenta's president. We had David Ross. So you never know who's going to be here. We might have heard from Football Americas. I doubt it. He's too busy. He makes more than all of us combined. But you never know.
I will say we are working on some special guests, so maybe it's you. You never know, dear listener. You might be our special guest. Probably not.
Might be.
But you can still call in.
But let's get back to it, guys. Fuego for South Georgia. Now your goal scorers were Victor Flack, Chavez, and Bajev. Is this a good win? I mean, of course it's a good win for Fuego, but what happened to Tormenta, guys? Like, we were up there riding high on Tormenta, thought they were going to be the team, and they ain't the team, buddy.
You know, I think this is just one of those games where if you're Tormenta, you just throw out the tape and say, shit, wasn't our night. I mean, I don't think anybody would have beaten Fuego that night in League One or Championship or maybe even MLS. Like, they were on fire. Like, everything went in. I know myself and Brandon have, talked a lot about how they're kind of poachers and, they kind of have had like very lucky goals. Like, if you looked at their XG versus Madison when they won, they had like a 0.2 XG. They had one shot on goal and it went in. And that's when they got around the keeper, played it out the back and put it in the back of the net. And same with Greenville. Like, both their goals versus Greenville were kind of, sloppy goals. And I don't know. I think good for them for looking like a team a lot of us thought they were going to look like. But, if you're Tormenta, it's, keep going, forget it, and try to get out. Don't let it turn into a 2-game slide.
I will say this. I low-key feel like I probably jinxed Pablo Yara because I was like, is he up there with Akira Inu? And he comes out and he gives up 4 goals. Maybe I should have kept my mouth closed.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah, 4.
If he has a list, I think we're on it now.
Probably so. I don't think I'm probably going to be the most favorable person down there. Adam, let me ask you this question, yo. If you're South Georgia, and we're going to talk about Fuego, but I want to ask you this about South Georgia. If you're South Georgia, are you looking more at the defense of being the problem of why they give up 4, or kind of like the midfield just being too sloppy?
That's what I just asked. Like, in the beginning, we were praising their defense and how it was, we may only score 1, but you're scoring 0. That's how they played. They looked a little suspect in this game. I don't know if it was just a one-off, like it was a one game that was just a little bit off. If people starting to realize that they can break down their defense, so now they have to rely on their offense a little bit more, and their midfield a little bit more, and they just don't have it yet, and it's not gelling, it's not clicking because they had a lot of turnover. Who knows? I'm kind of looking at that next game versus Tucson, and I'm like, do we see another Central Valley game where they get cooked through the midfield and they're getting 4? It could have been 5 or 6-0. They had a goal called off. If we're seeing the same result over the next game or two, we gotta start looking at hitting the panic button for him, right? Like maybe not me. I'm okay with them dropping, with their midfield being trash and that defense being trash, but their fans have got to be looking like, are we gonna sign anybody soon? Like, what's going on?
Which for them, Toby Otieno from Union Omaha last year is, per yesterday at least, it looks like he has got his issues sorted out at the border, and he is coming back from Kenya to play for them. So hopefully he's in good form, and that could help them out a lot. Having a guy like that who, at times looked like an all-league player. Certainly his first year in the league, and seeing him come in, it might really be the difference maker for them. He's a really good player, and sometimes it's just the one piece you need. And I don't think they're necessarily broke, but it definitely helps to get a strong asset like that back.
Yeah, it definitely does to have someone back there that can kind of anchor that and help out. Because Phelps is a great center back as well. Kind of put the positive spin back on Fuego. I gotta say, for Fuego, like we talked about last week, we were kind of like, are they this team? Are they this dominant squad? Can they be in that upper tier in USL League One table? And we were kind of like, they can, but we don't know if we can trust them. Does a performance like this make you trust them a little bit more, or are you still kind of?
I'm kind of like, what? Like, how do you rate this team? Because they beat a lowly Madison, they tied a decent Greenville, they came back for did they go up against Chatta, and then Chatta came back, or was it the other way around?
I think that one might have been the other way around. I'm not sure.
No, they went up 2-1, and then because all the goals were in the first half, I forgot about that. So they went up 2-1 on Chattanooga and let Chattanooga get that quick goal back. So it came up to be 2-2. It's like, who is this team? Like, are they going to be the team that gets bumped, or are they? Because right now they're holding results. In their last 5 games, it's 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. That's a really good stretch, and they're in second with 12 points. Like, I don't know what to make of this team, but it's kind of scary because what the fuck? They can either hold you to 1, or we're about to play Chaos FC and it's no defense, just vibes for 90 minutes.
Yeah. And the thing is, they've only had 1 home game. So all their games are on the road. So you got to imagine the team is probably going to tend a little bit more upward as the season goes, because in the back end, they're going to get a lot more home games. The same with Noco, who we'll talk about. I don't know. I'm not off the fence totally, but I'm kind of leaning more like, I think if Central Valley can get a home field, and we'll see how they do at home. But if they have to play on the road, I trust them. I trust them in this one.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, it's like, how tough is that? They're the only team out in California. The only relatively close game for them is Tucson. They're traveling 3-4 time zones for every single game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nuts. Like, the NOCO staff didn't even realize there was a time change between Omaha and Nebraska, and they were all out of sorts. Like, that West Coast to East Coast is killer. Like, going the other way, even like when I visit my buddies out in LA, it's tough. It takes me a couple days.
It's a killer.
Yeah,
I experienced changing time zones for the first time. My wife could tell you, yo, my sleeping patterns are already messed up, but they were really fucked up after coming back. I was like, what is this?
Yeah. Well, especially like when I'm out in LA, all I'm doing is drinking beer. No one's asking me to go out and run for 90 minutes and win a game.
All right. No one's asking you to do the important things that you do, Chip. No one's asking that from you. Outside of smoking a cigarette. By the way, guys, I want to ask you guys this, because we're all adults here. Before we talk about this next game, what was your first experience ever smoking? And how badly did you choke?
Oh, it was bad. It was.
Did you ever give yourself the smoker's headache?
Yes. I know what you're talking about. Yes, I was. It was bad. I felt like a fucking novice, and I was.
So, my first experience, we lived in like a neighborhood by my college campus. We had a house with 6 guys, and like any guys in college, we liked going up on our roof and drinking beer. And we're like, you know what, make this even better? Grape cigarellos. So we would go like every Friday, especially when it was nice, and we'd go and we'd buy a case of beer and a pack of grape cigarellos, and we'd go sit on our roof and smoke grape cigarellos and drink Natty Light, which, they're gross and it definitely makes you cough. But the funniest thing was the little bodega we bought from. One day, the guy who was behind the counter said, like, hey man, like, I'm out. Can you like spot me some? And I was like, spot you some what? And he's like, very like, and I was like, no, I have no clue what you're talking about. He's like, dude, don't be an asshole. You're in here every Friday buying grape cigarellos. I know what you're doing those. Can you sell me some weed? And I was like, what the fuck? Why would I have weed? And then I learned what grape cigarellos are actually for, which is smoking marijuana.
So wait, hold on. Chip, you mean to tell? See, this is how I know, Chip. I'm so glad you got black friends now. So you mean to tell me y'all was just buying cigarellos and just lighting these joints?
Yeah,
bro. I don't think a black person has ever smoked a cigarello by itself without weed in it. What?
Yeah,
bro. Sorry.
Like I said, every Friday before we would go out and do stuff, we got off class at like 3:00. We went to the store. We got a case of beer and a thing of cigarellos, and we sat on our roof, listened to music, and smoked cigarellos and drank beer.
Oh my god, y'all was really out here
smoking straight,
just smoking cigarellos. Just have no care in the world. Couldn't buy a cigar, so we're gonna buy cigarellos.
Well, I was a broke college student. I wasn't buying one of those $3 cigars, man. I got like what'd you get? 5 grape cigarellos for $2?
Oh, damn! What the price? The inflation. It's like a pack of 4 for $1 here.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was like prohibitive or unprohibitively cheap. And it's like I didn't want a whole pack of cigarettes. I don't need 20. I just want like one grape cigarello, and then your buddies have the other ones, and then that's what you do. I don't need 20 cigarettes.
This is so hilarious. Wow. Moving on. We're gonna go like that for the end of the show. By the way, I forgot to mention we were supposed to have a Friday night game, but because of COVID, which is still very much a thing, get vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, there's no hope for you. Get vaxxed, please, for the love of sweet Jesus. We are 2 years in this shithole. Get vaccinated, and if you are vaccinated, you catch COVID, please be safe. Okay, wear a mask the same way you wear a condom. That's why we got so many kids out here. People just out here raw dogging every which way.
Raw dog in the air.
Right.
No.
You can't be raw dogging there.
I can't tweet that. I can't.
You can. You can tweet whatever you want. But yeah, no, for sure. I think that's definitely a very serious thing, especially as people start to travel more and everything else. Just recently I've had 4 or 5 friends all get COVID for like the first time.
I bet they did smoking goddamn cigarellos. Those look black as hell.
But yeah, I mean, I think again, like, be careful. Like, the last thing we want to do is go back into a lockout and lose out on all this beautiful, beautiful soccer.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, if you are a GM of a team and your game gets canceled due to COVID, don't be a shithead like New Mexico did and schedule it for 2 days later and make the team you're playing call up 8 youth players so they can suit up a squad.
So, but look,
that was Phoenix, wasn't it?
But that was the only way they was ever going to be Phoenix.
Oh yeah,
the only way.
Which, that being said, if Union Omaha does the same thing, I reserve the right to go back on my statement and be like, well, it's gamemanship. Shouldn't have gotten COVID, man.
Wow.
I wish I would have learned that lesson 2 years ago.
Yes.
All right, but yeah, the game against Richmond versus FC Tucson was postponed because of COVID, so that game is moved now to June 29th, which means Richmond has another 3 games in a week. Darren better make sure the squad depth is on point.
Wait. We didn't even get a chance to talk about the other games. There's a win in there. There's a win in there.
Have you won this solo cam?
I wasn't there, so no. But I did watch it. I watched.
You watched? Okay. Yeah. At least you watched. So yeah, let's talk about it. North Carolina FC won over Greenville. Guys, last week we were kind of hyping up Greenville. We were like, hey, is Greenville back? Is Greenville doing their thing? and then we were kind of just like, I do want to say I called it. I called a North Carolina win last week. I called it after Chip said no way, Jose. But North Carolina gets a seventh minute winner very early on. Do you think the proverbial monkey is off of Bradford's back?
The get a home win one is, yeah. Let's be honest. Like someone said in our chat, like at the end of May, no one thought we'd be sitting in 5th place. You know, especially after last year. Yeah. They were doing really well on the road. They were getting results on the road. That's not something we could say last year at all. We've had some stupid losses, not gonna lie. A lot of them heartbreaking. But to see them kind of like the problem last year was they could never finish a match. It was always they played 75 minutes, 80 minutes, 85 minutes, 89 minutes, and then they'd give up that late goal. They played a full game. You know, it was weird. And I think I made my Greenville prediction a year too early. I'm just throwing that out there.
Ooh, you think so?
I think I made it a little too early. I should have played the lotto this year.
Okay.
I will say shout out to my buddy who found the Union Omaha line at like plus 450, and I was like, yeah, might as well throw it on the 10 spot.
Is that we out here betting on USL League One games? Did we make it? Mama, we made it?
I think so.
Oh, I'm not a DJ.
I think it's time to bet the house on the kickers. He just literally almost threw her cup at me. Think we're not going to do that, folks.
She should have.
She looked at me like, I wish the fuck you would.
Hey, Bank, can you cancel that check for my mortgage and send it over to Patty Power, please?
Baby, we're selling the dog. Look at him going.
Yo, if a hand just come by the screen and just smack the shit out of Yogi, no, it didn't.
Oh man. But yeah, I want to also ask you this about North Carolina FC. Do you think this is a point? It's funny enough that y'all win this game right before y'all play Richmond. Just want to throw that out there. But do you think winning a game like this, do you think it now kind of settles the team? Because y'all were playing great, but like you said earlier, like y'all was like last year, y'all would play great for 70 minutes, then cut out. Play for 75, then cut out. Do you think now this team got a full sense of it?
I think this team knows, everybody knows their role a little bit more, a little bit better, and they know how to play those roles to the best of their ability. At first, it felt like everyone was still trying to fill each other out, and it wasn't clicking when they would travel and then come back home, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, here's a couple subs coming in. Oh, we've lost the plot. I feel like that was a complete game. It felt sloppy at points, but they never broke. It was more of like we didn't give up that late goal. It was very, very close. You know, those are things that, you know, that's soccer sometimes, but this felt like they understood the assignment and they executed. And now they have to continue that because of precedent set from this last game from versus Greenville. We now know that you can grind out and hold on to your defensive lines and stick out a gritty 1-0 win. But now can you do the stylish 3-0, everybody's clicking, lines are clicking type of win? That's kind of like that next hurdle. And can you do it at home? We've seen you do it on the road. We've seen you do the gritty 1-0 wins on the road. Now we've seen you do it at home. What's that next step? You know, it's kind of like next progression, especially because we're bringing in all these academy kids, and Frame is starting again. And you know, Nick got into the game, and he started and he played well. I definitely thought that everybody knew that, you know, beat him on his near side. He apparently worked on that, and it's just things are starting to gel more. And it's like, how do you keep that consistent? I'm not saying you have to win every game, but you do have to compete every game. And right now, they're actually competing in games, and it actually worked out in their favor this time.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Chip, let's talk about Greenville. We know the Greenville contingent of USL League One Twitter is going to be a little uptight about this, but I mean, hey, you got to deal with it sometimes. Do you think they give us a little bit of false promise, or do you think Greenville can get it right?
Well, on the plus side for Greenville, their second favorite team, Union Omaha's doing pretty good.
Ooh. Yeah, he's not gonna let that down. He's not gonna let that down.
Love you guys. I mean, I don't know. I think it is weird. I was talking today with Rich, who wrote a really great article for the Open Cup website about this, and it is crazy. I know after the Omaha South Georgia Tormenta, which I don't know why I called them South Georgia Tormenta instead of Tormenta, but after the Omaha Tormenta 0-0 draw, Rich was irate. He was like, "What the hell are we doing?" But now you look at that result, and it's pretty good. And I just think that's the weird thing is we're kind of in this weird topsy-turvy situation. I mean, of the teams in playoff contention right now, only 2 of them made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And in fairness, there is some weird stuff with the table, but you have FC Tucson, who's a 4 seed, bringing up the rear. Omaha at 9th, which is better than it looks. Then Greenville just barely out of playoff contention. But again, it's a long season. We're not that far. We're almost a third of the way through for some teams, but there's plenty of time. The whole table is really close, and if those results don't start coming in come July, maybe you get a bit nervous. But we've seen before with Greenville, they're a well-coached team. They have a lot of the same guys as last year. I just think they need to figure out who's going to score up top, and maybe you get a summer transfer to hopefully figure that out, or hopefully someone finally steps up, watches some inspirational videos, and figures out how to get it done. But if I'm Greenville, I'm not super worried right now. I mean, compared to if I was a Tucson fan or a Madison fan, you're definitely getting into the nervous zone. But for Greenville, they'll be fine. They have the track record, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I still think the biggest concern I have for Greenville is just the lack of a young striker option. Just someone younger. J. King is good, but J. King is good if you want to be 5th to 8th.
Yeah,
I don't. Younger than you need someone else. I'm just putting it out there.
And no disrespect to Keegan, but I don't think he's should be a.
Yeah, no. Keegan is truly at this point. He's like Wayne Rooney in a sense. He was a great center forward that scored goals, did assists, and then something just happened, and now he needs to play more midfield. He does that great. I think Don Smart. He's either over the course of Don Smart's USL League One career, he's gone from striker to left wing to center attacking mid to center mid, now playing CDM. And you can do that in USL League One. And it works for it. I think you can do the same thing with Keegan. You gotta bring in someone. Just they're really missing what's his name goals for last year.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I got 2 comments. One, if Greenville doesn't make the playoffs, the memes will be immaculate. The memes will be great. I
know y'all got some stored.
Oh yeah, you know it. But I think the second thing is, maybe they need to go and look for a guy who scored a lot of goals in League One, who's unattached, maybe an international player, maybe a guy that could play center back if you needed to. Josiah Tribbingham.
Now, if Josiah Tribbingham go to Greenville, over under how pissed Kyle's going to be.
Ooh.
He's going to delete Twitter, probably. At least.
He quits the podcast.
What if Josiah Tribbingham is the reason Greenville get in the playoffs on the last day and knocks out Madison?
Well, how is he not with a team?
Yeah, I don't know why he's not with a team.
I mean, he's 25. He's young. So it's not like he's old.
Yeah.
Which, who knows? Maybe he's playing transfer market's only good for certain leagues. For all we know, he's playing down in Trinidad and Tobago or in Jamaica or something where they just like do not update where those guys are at.
No, probably not. Probably not. Let's go ahead. Let's move on to the next game we got. If I can pull it up.
Forward versus Charlotte.
Oh yeah, talking about Kyle. Fort Madison won. Charlotte Independence 2. Charlotte is our new rulers. Who should we talk about first? Should we talk Charlotte or should we talk Forward? Which one should we go?
I guess Charlotte first.
All right, let's go Charlotte. Charlotte Independence. Right. They are currently right now the number one place team in USL League One, and that's not even like no crazy stuff. Like granted, they played the most games in USL League One, the most home games out of anyone. I think they've only been on the road once, if I'm correct. No, twice. They've been on the road twice. But still, like they have been hitting it. I think mostly Chip. We were talking about earlier. What's his name? I can find it.
Mbuyu.
Yeah, Mbuyu. He has been amazing, man. He has really been in it. God, I think Connor Tormenta might have been right about Charlotte, man.
Yo, I was not prepared.
No, I was not either. I was not expecting this from them. They have been on it this year. You know, I think Chip, we were talking about earlier, like they brought in players like Ibarra. You were thinking like, all right, well, everything's going to run through him, and that's been the total opposite. Like Charlotte has really been the essence of we going to play. I'll call it what it is. I believe it's a 3-4-3. We're gonna play this high line 3-4-3. We're gonna press you in your box. We're gonna try to cut off space, and if you happen to get him behind us, okay. Fine, but we're gonna come back and score. And constantly they did it again to Ford, they did that to Richmond, they did that to Union. Like they do not care.
I'm more concerned. Like, yeah, the three. I really can't tell you what they play. I don't really watch much their games, but it feels like every time it's more of like a you score 2, we'll score 3 type mentality. So I don't really know what their defense is like to even like tell you if it's good or not. Because looking at who they've played, it's not like they've played anyone that was like crazy out there good, right? They tied a Fuego. They beat Northern Colorado. They lost to the Kickers. They beat Union Omaha. That's probably the toughest game they've had all season.
And to do that, they kind of needed a questionable goal.
Right. And then they tied Georgia, which I don't even know if that's even good anymore or not. They beat Tucson, which is Tucson. And then they lost to Northern Colorado. And then they beat Forward Madison. That's a lot of games to not have anyone that's not playing above the line right now, except for like Union. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like I can't tell you what their defense is. Their score lines have been all fucking over the place.
It's even consistently like 2-1. Like they've only kept one clean sheet, and that was against South Georgia. Every game literally has been a variation of a 2-1. Yeah, 2-1. Or
2-1.
It's a 3-3. What was it, that first game?
Like it's so back and forth. How do you gauge that, right? Like you're just going into the day of like we're either going to play defense or we're just going to push. Yeah. And those days that they push, it feels like they're still not doing much because the team that they're playing also can't produce goals. So the only team that could produce goals was Fuego, as we've seen, because they're out here scoring 4 on Georgia or 4 against Charlotte. Like, it's not making sense. But somehow they are top of the league, and I still don't know what to make of this goddamn team.
Yep.
That's all I got. Like, I don't fucking know.
That seems about right. What you got, Chip?
Well, I gotta say, and this isn't going to be a particularly good take, but I think what we have found out is that if we talk shit on a team to the point where they block us, it just becomes like motivational.
But then
And
they
they unblocked us, which is very gentlemanly of them. Red Wolves, if you're listening, still blocked. Would love to see your tweets. Again, I promise no more light jokes. But I think out of spite, they're like, "Fuck these guys." They talked all this shit. They all picked us last. Like, fuck them. We're gonna win the damn league out of spite, just to make the walking 90 people look like they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I've already ate my crow on them. They are a lot better than what I expected to be.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, and again, it's like I would say that game, especially with the goal, was very frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I would have rather had the tie, but I don't like feel bad about that win or about that win for them. Like we lost it. We earned that loss. They're a really good team. Like, I don't think if you're an Omaha fan at this point, you could be super mad about that. And, we'll see if they can keep it up. Like, maybe they have that weird partnership deal with Charlotte FC. Maybe they come through and, steal and boo you. And then all of a sudden they're back to shite again. Like, I know we got so excited that the two teams were leaving this year, but between Charlotte FC, our Charlotte Independence is looking like a farm team for Charlotte FC, and then Madison becoming the 2 team for Milwaukee. There's two teams are back.
Slightly. They probably never left us. Unfortunately. Last game we got to talk about, y'all. If my phone slides over. Oh no, that is the last game we can talk about. All right. To Fort Madison, who I forgot we need to talk about because Kyle's not here to defend him, so I'm gonna talk shit. Fort Madison attack is ass. It's bad. Like I think my main issue with Fort Madison is kind of the same grip I have with Greenville, but it's also as if the players that Fort Madison signed to improve that attack have either degressed or they look like they're not connecting. Like there's something not linking with the midfield to the attack. And I think it's also like the point of they're missing a number 9. Their big money signing Brazilian player, whose name is escaping right now, isn't really clicking to the height he is. Am I bugging? Or am I kind of right in this?
I mean, no, I think you're kind of right. It's like there's no way that Ford can add all that talent and still not be scoring goals, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not even like you. These are some very easy, winnable games that you're just not doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not quite sure where the disconnect is between their forwards and scoring, but somebody's got to shake something up to like get them back on track, because otherwise this season is over before it really kicks off.
Yeah. And I think that's the big thing. And, I'm going to be completely serious. I love dunking on Madison and their fans as much as anybody in the Union Omaha fan base. But, in all seriousness, though, I think if you look at the teams that are struggling right now in the standings that are out of the playoff, Greenville looks like a team that if they figure some stuff out, they're going to be fine. NoCo and Omaha, once they play some games, they'll probably be back up in the playoff hunt. Tucson, they have a coach that took them from the worst team in the league to the fourth seed in the playoffs last year. So if he tinkers a bit, Perlman tinkers a bit, maybe gets some guys, like he has a track record of improving teams that suck. Madison, it's like, I guess what is the bright spot for Madison? I guess you've gotten a lot of ties, but I don't know. Like, being as impartial as I can be, like, I don't really know what the bright spot is for them right now. Like if I had to look at him, Cassini's looking better, but again, their attack's been anemic. They're back to playing that. When Glazer came in, he was saying he wanted to play up tempo and a high scoring and super exciting, and they're back to playing that same, super tough defensive game that they've been playing since Omaha entered the league. And I don't know. Like, I don't know what the answer is, but
no, you're right. Like, it doesn't seem to be clicking for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what it is. Like, it's so many games. Like, even the game that they won against us, like, they didn't score the goal. It was an own goal. They got scored for them. So, I don't know. It's just hard. Like, you already got 3 games in which you got shut out in. A pair of 0-0 draws and one good draw against Chattanooga, and then another questionable draw against FC Tucson. And then the goal you got against for Madison. So you really look at it, you've only scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals so far out of a possible 8, 9 games. That's not good enough.
Well, here's what I would do if I was Matt Glazer. First, I'd look up the country code for Trinidad and Tobago, and then I would put it in my phone and call up Josiah Trimingham.
Chip, no one is calling that, man. No one is calling that.
He just fell off he needs to be put on like a milk carton. I want to know what he's up to. I was even looking to see like maybe if there's something on Instagram. He hasn't posted since the end of the season last year for Madison. And it's like, what is that man up to?
Just vibing.
Living his best life. That's what he's doing. Living his best life. All right. Well, that's the wrap up of those week's games. We'll go ahead. We'll move on to this week's upcoming games. First and foremost, we got 2 games in the Smother and Cover Cup. We got North Carolina FC playing Richmond. We got Chattanooga playing Greenville. Then we got Tormenta. Can they get a comeback against FC Tucson? Get back on the winning side of things. Then we got Union Omaha coming off of the high of smoking that MLS Pack, playing against NOCO, who still has yet to play a home game. And then we got the Dirty Birds of Madison going out to Fuego. Guys, out of these 5 games, what game are you the most anticipated to watch after your Champions League palette has been over full of?
You mean after I get done mulching in 90-degree weather?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, I was tweeting. Ask that one more time.
What game are you most intrigued by out of the 5 that we're going to watch?
Oh, you would think I would say North Carolina versus Kickers, but it's actually South Georgia versus Tucson. I gotta see what this Georgia team is like. What are they really?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Chip's wife. Are they really like that bad, or was it just a one-off game? Like, what are we doing here?
Well, right, and especially if you're Tucson, you need to start getting results. And a Tormenta team who just got blown out at home, results.
Yeah, it's not really good.
That's the best part about these West Coast games is you get to watch them after your game.
That's true. That is the best part. For me, I ain't gonna lie, I'm low-key intrigued by this Tormenta and Tucson game, just because of the fact of how is Tormenta gonna get back? Because so many points in the last couple of years has been Tormenta will go on these highs, and then something will happen, and the whole team mentality would just be like, "Well, that's it, we're done," and they would just kind of just flame out. And I want to see if Tormenta can come out, have a positive result, get a good win, not nothing scrappy in the 90th minute, but a good win. And can they get back on the right track? I think this will be a pivotal point in the year. Like, this is something we can go back to and be like, all right, that's the moment why or why not Tormenta's in the playoffs or not. Mm-hmm. And plus, my coach of the year prediction is riding on them being in the playoffs. Kind of need this to happen.
I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path, too. And I'm going to say Chattanooga versus Greenville.
That one was interesting.
Yeah.
This is 2 teams that played each other in the playoffs last year. They've been pretty much consistently good the entire time they've been in League One, and now Greenville's struggling. These teams don't like each other. You know it's going to be a physical game, which seems to suit Greenville's style of play. And, you know, if they can go in there and get a win, I think you kind of start to silence some of the doubters. And two, like more than anything, they just need a good win over a good team to hopefully kick their ass in gear and start being the Greenville that we all know and love. So as much as I like making jokes about Greenville fans rooting for Omaha because their team sucks, you know, it's always great to have Greenville be good. You know, it adds a lot to the league. They're a great group that they have there, and you know, I want the best for those guys, and you know, hopefully they can turn it around. But yeah, I mean, it should be a fun game.
Yeah, it is. It's going to definitely be a fun game. I think the thing about it is, can Greenville, you know, piss off Chattanooga enough to get a win? You know, that's the thing. Can they do enough to piss them off to get a win? Also, I want to ask you guys this while we're at it: what's going to be the most disappointing game of this weekend? What game are you going to be like, oh, we hyped it up, and then like, this ain't it?
I think we're hyping up this Tormenta game, and it's just gonna be a dud. But I'm so interested in that game. Like, I think that's gonna be my chaos game.
Okay, not a bad pick.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna make Union my vibes pick, but I think
once again, not a bad pick. For me, I'm going to go with our game, Richmond versus North Carolina. I know years past has had some fireworks, the 4-0 win, you know, the late time winner. I don't see this getting higher than 1-0, and I think it's going to be a goal early on. And I think one team parks the bus, the other team is trying to break the wall down, but it's not going to happen. And I think the second half is going to be dog crap.
I'll say Union Omaha and NoCo. You know, if you're in Omaha, you're coming off a huge high after winning against Minnesota United, and you know, long week, 2 games in short succession. NoCo probably wants revenge for losing 2-0. They probably see Omaha being so successful, and are thinking, well, that could have been us in that game. We could be the ones in the round of 8. We could be the ones that everyone's talking about. People that are blowing up Twitter who have, you know, famous ESPN hosts wearing their jerseys on their national soccer show, and it ain't them. But, you know, we'll see. I mean, I think I went on Linners and Woozers, which is kind of the de facto Northern Colorado podcast with some other
rounds, I see.
Right?
Yeah. With some of the other Union Omaha guys, and we talked about it. And I will say this on their pod. I said, if Omaha beats Minnesota United, I'm okay if we lose to NoCo on Saturday. That being said, we didn't lose to Minnesota United. In fact, we won. And I'm going to take that back. I'm a greedy motherfucker. I want 3 points. I want to beat them 3-0. Fuck you guys.
So is everybody going Union as their vibe game?
Yeah, I'll go with it. I think it'll be entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Well, and hopefully with the Cup success, hopefully there's a huge crowd there. I had so many people reaching out after that game of people who said they're going to go, and you know, if those people show up, you know, we might have a huge crowd at Union Omaha game, and you know, it'd be a lot of fun. Feel like the finals again with 5,500 people there. Obviously, the stakes are lower, but it'd be nice to have a fuller stadium.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I guess we could talk about it now. We got a midweek game, Richmond versus Chattanooga. I'm over under on the amount of red cards because we know Darren Sawatsky and Jimmy Obleda aren't the best of friends. You think they're on each other's Christmas list?
Oof. I'm gonna say 2 red cards. And they're gonna be at the end when the score like is pretty much decided, and they're like, "Well, fuck this," and they just start going reckless with it.
That's gonna be interesting.
Double red to the bench of each team, both coaches ejected.
That would be hilarious. And
It's not going to happen, but that'd be hilarious. I mean, we've seen a lot of, I think besides Mims and Eamon, who's been hanging out with Mims so much that he's like, yeah, I like getting yellow cards. Like those two coaching staffs get carded a lot. Yeah. Like you said, they don't like each other. Like,
no,
like on a personal level, not just like a professional level. Like I think like, they both got burners on Twitter to talk shit on the other one or something.
Probably so. Probably so. Not to even dump on my own head coach because I love him. He did something very cool. He reached out to me and just give some encouragement and positive words. And this is the thing that I think a lot of higher ups in USL League One and lower league soccer are when they talk about, oh, why don't we have fans coming to games, or why can't we grow our size? It's little things like that make you feel like, well, damn, like they care, and maybe I'm being a little bit weird, but it's things like that that make like when the coach reach out to you and be like, hey, how are you doing? Is everything good? Those things like that are really important and really cool because they make you feel as if you're part of this bigger community than yourself. So yeah, I thought that was really dope for him. I just want to shout him out for that. But also, I'm gonna talk about Richmond for a little while. Guys, Richmond got an important stretch coming up. It was supposed to be 6 games, 2 in a row to start out with, then 4 straight at home. Now it's only 5 with the 1 road game against North Carolina. But this is an important stretch for Richmond, and I think that if Richmond doesn't come out of here with at least 3 wins, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think we're gonna be any higher than a 5th or 6th seed this year. And I mean, maybe too early for that, but that's how I'm feeling right now. What you guys think?
So I just pulled up your schedule. So from June 1st to June 29th, you have 6 games. Like, that's goddamn.
Yeah. Yeah, we running the gauntlet, dog.
Wait, well, let's go back a little bit because even then, you still got a Saturday, May 28th game. So that's 7 games within a span of 28 days. Mm-hmm. Or 30 days, 28 to 28th.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about even. It's 4 at home, 3 on the road. That's a fucking lot. Like, let's be real.
Nothing but a word.
So you've got an informed North Carolina FC at NCFC. You've got a very goal-hungry Chattanooga. You've got a lackadaisical Georgia. You got a don't know what to do Charlotte. You got a kind of meh Noco, but they can still turn it on anytime. And then you got a very lowly Ford and a very meh Tucson. So there's some wins in there. It's just a matter of you guys taking the opportunity to take them. This feels like we were talking about NCFC last year. Like you've got the wins there. You got the chance to like really propel yourself into like that 3 and 4 spot, maybe even 2nd, depending on how Charlotte does over the next couple of games.
Yeah.
How do you have the squad rotation for that?
I believe we do. I think it's up to Darren to trust it.
Do you trust your backup goalkeeper? Do you have a backup goalkeeper?
Yes. He played in the U.S. Open Cup. I trust him. Mm-hmm. Center back, I think we're a little thin there, but I think Dakota can pop in, but still we're thin. Fullback is always the issue because once our fullbacks get hurt, it's kind of a wrap. Attacking wise, I'm not too bad. Like if we get hurt, I trust Matt Billy enough to do a job. I trust David Olsen. So yeah, I'm fine with those guys. But I think our biggest concern is just the defense for me personally. That's my concern.
All right, so let's go through them. So like you said, you've got 7 games in a month.
Yeah.
Chip, Union Omaha. Starting with the game this weekend, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus an Open Cup game in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting not bad, but where do you see your catalyst becoming? Because you have NoCo at home, you got Achata, you got Tucson away, you come back home to Greenville, and then you get South Georgia.
Yeah, so I think if you look at that stretch, I mean it's a tough stretch. So NoCo is a team that I think is a lot better than they're getting credit for right now. We got that at home. I don't like saying games are must win, but I think if you're Omaha, you really kind of need to get 3 points there, build off the momentum of the Open Cup, and put some results on the board. You have to, in this league with how tight it's looking, you have to get results at home. You can give some up on the road, but you have to win at home. The next game, Chattanooga Red Wolves, we have never gotten a result at Chattanooga, ever. The first time we played there, that was before the Lights game. We lost 3-0. They broke Dami Viader's ribs. We started sliding. Bad game. Last year, they whooped on us while I was flying over to London. Bad game. And then we played them out on the 4th of July. They did the classic Chattanooga thing of scoring in like the death of the game and taking the steam out of our party. If you can get any result there, that's huge. I don't know if we will, but if you get any result there, it's huge. Then we have Tucson, which, hopefully is a win. But again, going into the desert, changing time zones, you got the heat, you got the desert, everything else. Then you have Greenville at home. We'll see if Greenville starts recovering or not, but that's always a tough game too. Like Omaha and Greenville, there's a trophy on the line. The players know each other. I think it's a game that Greenville will have some away support at, and it'll be interesting. And not only that, but you're looking ahead because you have SKC midweek. And then finally you have South Georgia's Tormenta, who right now, besides the slip up at Fuego, they're one of the best teams in the league this year. And then, it's not in June anymore, but then you go and play Charlotte Independence, who look really, really good right now. I mean, it's a tough stretch of games. And in those 5, normally I think if you get out of that stretch with, 7 points, 7-8 points, like you're probably feeling pretty good about yourself. Like this isn't, and I think that's the big thing is like, we haven't seen the Omaha team from the Open Cup in League One yet, besides the Fuego game at home. And if they can start being the team that they are in the Open Cup, this could be a pivotal thing, and we could see them at the top of the table by the time they play Sporting Kansas City. But if they still are kind of playing how they've been playing the league so far, maybe you don't have that. I mean, I think we're averaging 1.2 points per game, which I think when I looked, the pace last year, 1.2 wasn't good enough to make the playoffs. And we've had a tough schedule so far, but we can only rest on that for so long, and we got to start winning games. As great as the Open Cup run is, if we don't make the playoffs, I think there's a lot of questions on, how do you make the round of 8 or even further in the cup and not even make the playoffs? And, Omaha will make the playoffs. I feel very confident in that, but, it's a tough stretch, and we got to start seeing some results. And I think with how the guys are playing, we're going to start seeing some results. And, and if not,
So I get what you're, so like to be getting the type of attention you're getting and to be sitting in 8th out of 12 teams is not a good look in terms of national media. And then to round it out, looking at NCFC, it's a really big chunk of games too. It's not as many as obviously kickers, but we get the kickers this weekend. Then we get NoCo away. We can bring it home with Charlotte, and then we're on the road for Fuego and Greenville. So looking at all these games and all these teams, realistically, how many points do you think your team needs to get from this round by the end of June to either get above the playoff line or to stay above the playoff line? Because mine is 7. I think we need at least 7 points to kind of maintain where we are. And how we get that is kind of like a smash and grab, a couple smash and grabs, and some very fortunate wins at home. Because we have some tough opponents at home.
I think that's a fair double app.
Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I think the biggest thing that we need to do with all of this is it depends on if the pack starts separating. Because if all of a sudden you start seeing a couple teams separating away from everyone else, that's when you get worried. If we're going to stay this tight, maybe you don't need 7-8 points out of this stretch. Maybe you can get away with 5 or 6, but ultimately it's for everybody's team. You're starting to get to put up or shut up time. And the last thing you want to do is go into August and September needing to get wins to make the playoffs. And I think that's where kind of everyone in the league's at right now. Even Charlotte and Tormenta and Fuego. Like, if it's early, they can't rest on their laurels because it's still close. Because what is it? 4 points separate first and last? Or 10 points. 10 points separates first and last. But
yeah.
But it's still tight. Again, if Omaha gets 2 wins, all of a sudden they're dead even for first play. They're dead even for second place in the league right now through 7 games. But and that's the thing, is it's so close. Like, if you can turn a draw into a win or a loss into a draw, it can make or break your season this year. And I think that's a lot of pressure that a lot of teams didn't have in the past, where you had a couple teams that were significantly better than the rest. I think there's a lot of parity in the league, and I think the league's gotten a lot better despite losing all the talent that we lost last year.
I think so. I think you're right. This league is a lot tighter, and I think teams are going to have to figure it out quick. Like, we can get to a situation where we're by the end of June, and I think we probably know who are the top 8 teams. I think we can run into a situation like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's going to be fun. Before we wrap up, y'all, any last things before we cut this show out?
Yeah, so I forgot that comments existed. So I saw Kyle's comment about, this is the most freshman shit I've ever heard about me and Twister Sweets. I would like to point out I was a junior because Creighton required you to live on campus your first 2 years.
What?
Sure, that's even worse.
That didn't help.
That just proved 2 things to me: that Creighton doesn't have black people outside of the basketball team, and that there's 0 black people in probably what is the vicinity of Creighton outside of the basketball team.
Or the third option is I'm just a giant fucking square. I'll tell you a funny story once we log off that'll make you laugh even more.
Oh God.
I don't think I want that one for general consumption, but I'll tell you guys it's pretty funny.
Oh man. No, nothing for me. I came late. I stayed late. I'm good.
You did. Absolutely did. This is why we're wrapping this show up at 11 o'clock. 11 fucking o'clock.
I will say this: the Omaha fans that came up to the game had a really great tifo, and it said "US over USL 1 League 1 over everyone."
I did see that.
Yeah, and I think that's a nice sentiment. I think it's really cool watching this league, and we've all been here since the ground floor, which is great, and seeing it grow and develop, and the friendships and everything that we've had across the leagues, and we talk a lot of shit, but at the same time, we've all got each other's back. We all want to see what's best for the league, and it's so cool. Like I said last night, getting support from members of, I think, every team in the league. A fan or front office member reached out and said, "Holy shit, dude, I'm so excited for you." And that's so cool that we have that in this league. And we've only been in, Omaha's only been a team for 3 years, and the league's only been there for 4. It's great.
Right. It is. It's really dope and really cool to see. Well, that being said, y'all, we are done next week, y'all. Make sure you hit up on the Twitter Spaces. We'll be doing them roughly around 6:30, 7:30-ish. So make sure you join that. And once again, call your local senator. Make sure they pass the HR 8 bill. It's time to get shit done in this country. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. I'm not going to say it again. Get off your ass and do something. Holler at y'all later. Be safe, be easy. We will holler at you guys next week.